Rev 3 Games Preview is brought to you by Gamefly. It's a pleasure to be joined by Ryan Green, co-creator of That Dragon Cancer, which I can honestly say is definitely one of the busiest corners of this entire show floor here at PAX. Obviously, this is some rough material, and it's some very personal material. If you wouldn't mind sort of explaining the situations and circumstances that brought you into this game.
Sure, yeah. My wife and I, Amy, have 4 sons, and our third son, Joel, has terminal cancer. And so we've been fighting cancer for close to 4 years, and this game is the story of Joel.
All right. So obviously, things have been changing, especially in the indie game scene. Yeah. But that kind of subject matter, if this was 10 years ago, it would be inconceivable. And I've been seeing this a lot with a lot of other games, that there seems to be a new sense of the essential, that no, this is the right medium to be telling stories a lot more personal. It's sort of for you in this story, why it would be that way and not a documentary or a book.
Yeah. Well, my wife and I did make a book, and we've even tried making a short film, and those were good for different reasons, but like every medium has a strength. And I feel like the interactive medium, what we call video games, has a profound ability to take your entire focus and create like this immersive experience where you can really feel the feelings of the person that you're playing. And so this is an opportunity for me as a creator to like invite people to walk with me in my life and to see things the way I see them, but also to remain themselves. And so I think it's just a beautiful way to give context to the beauty and the tragedy and the fears and the hope that we're experiencing as a family.
And the section that I played, it would be, I would assume, the beginning of the game, you're in a hospital room, excuse me, of, I assume, the pediatric ward. Yeah. It's interesting because, most of what's going on are thoughts that are inside of your head and your reactions to the inability of your child to be able to consume juice and just, be able to even sleep. It sounds like, what he's going through is very painful. Was that the way you had always intended to do it? Just have it kind of be an internal monologue, or?
Yeah, no, actually, when we started the project, I had aspirations of making an interactive art installation, and we were going to explore what it was like for Joel to try to overcome obstacles in life with all the handicaps that he's been given by the treatment, not just the cancer. And it was interesting because as we started to explore this, at one point we were doing real-time cubist art, or we were trying to like make this really allegorical tale, like we're trying to do all these things, and I always had in the back of my head this idea that night, I remember it so vividly, and that mechanic, right, if you can call it that, of trying to give Joel juice and him not being able to consume it, like, stuck with me. And so when I wrote that, I started with that mechanic in mind, and then I just wrote everything that I felt that night. And then what came out was this. And so when we stumbled across that, like I made it in Twine. Like I wrote that in Twine, and we were reading it, and we're like, oh, I think this is it. And so then when we produced that, and when our composer came in and added the music and the environmentals and everything, it was like, wow, this is it, And so it's kind of like one of those exploratory things where we just kept trying and trying until we discovered the heart of it,
Actually, I had expected it to be more allegorical because of the name, That Dragon Cancer. Right. It just occurred to me now that the use of dragon in the title, if you wouldn't mind explaining what it means to you there.
Yeah, sure. When my wife was first talking to our older boys about Joel being terminal, we kind of put it in the words that you would tell a boy, like that dragon cancer, and Joel's fighting it, and God fights with him, and all those different things, and we're trying to explain this heavy thing, and so that kind of stuck with me. In my worldview as a Christian, even in the Bible, Satan is called a dragon, and so you're like, like this is weird, or even when you look at mythology, and in mythology you have these dragons that are like this unbeatable beast, like one person can't stand against it, and they're portrayed as being greedy, and so like cancer consumes everything, and so for me it worked on so many levels. That we do plan on having surrealist and kind of maybe some spiritual elements, and just kind of showing that there's more at work than what's just at the surface. And
so another thing, and another for the sake of the audience, that as rough as what is portrayed in the segment I just played, you've chosen not to show Joel. That it is more of an abstraction, and sort of what your thinking was in not actually seeing him going through something that sounds quite difficult.
Right. I don't think asking somebody to kind of enter into my world here is a very personal thing to do. It's a very risky thing for the player to do, and I have no intention of hurting anybody. You know, like, I don't want to just drag people through the mud to make me feel better or to make you feel my pain or like ask for pity or any of those things. Like, there's something I want to impart to people, you know? And so, but this is my life. And so what I'm asking for is people to trust me. And I don't want to do things that betray that trust just so that I can like get them. You know what I mean?
No. The potential here for it to go into kind of a horror show is very, very high.
I mean, just by the aspect of me believing in supernatural things or whatever it is, right? Or just death itself. Like, there's this mystery of death. There's this awe of death that it's the unknown. It's the ultimate unknown. So as soon as you talk about it, it can be scary. It's probably the thing we all fear the most is death. So.
And what's so fascinating is that's such a central motif in all the video games is the sense of failure.
Right.
That, I mean, the way this contrasts with so many, you know, the way we think about games. I mean, there's some very interesting, I don't know if you've even sort of mulled over that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the core, I mean, again, like we talk about our worldview and it's infused in how we see the world. So, like, what happens when I'm at the hospital and I can't call my son? What happens when the mechanics fail? When I can't be good enough? When I can't be smart enough, when I can't be strong enough to take care of my son. When you're at the end of yourself, then what? You know, and so for us, there's been these little moments of grace. There's been this little moments of when 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2, you know, and we're sharing those things because I think everybody experiences grace in their life. And the thing is do you accept it or not?
So this is one chapter, I guess I'll call it. Where does the game go from here, and sort of where are you in terms of the production of that?
Yeah, so this is probably like a midpoint of the game. Like, it's a more emotionally intense part of it. What we plan on doing is kind of making it consumable in chunks, but working as a whole. And so we plan on doing like 7 vignettes that are kind of set in a children's hospital. And so what you'll see is some of the more intimate moments of our life, like in our bedroom with Joel in bed when he's having seizures, or when he learned to walk for the first time, or his laugh, or the way he dances, and being able to help him. And so there's a lot of joy, and there's a lot of struggle, and there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of just hope in the middle of all of this. And so what we hope is that we can create an experience that's as complex as life is, but that is as beautiful as life is.
I mean, are you finding that the game is also helping you obviously cope and manage what I can't even imagine what that's like?
Well, what's beautiful about coming to something like this is at first you think, oh, how is this going to help me? It's so easy to like fall into like, how is this going to advance whatever I'm trying to do, you know? But what I'm finding is amazing is that even in the middle of PAX, people are really connecting with me, and we get to share, and we get to exchange like intimacy in a way with strangers, which is really weird, but like hugging a stranger and talking about like your children and your struggles and your fears and how you've overcome, like that's to me what it's all about. That's what makes this indie culture so special. I mean, and that's what makes the video game culture so special, because there's such a variety of views and such a diversity of voices that I believe that we should all have a seat at the table. And this gives us an opportunity to have a seat at the table that I didn't expect. And there's just so much out there that's so beautiful. So I'm excited about being part of it.
What is your strategy for release? Are you going to put them all out at once? Or are you going to do these vignettes? And when might the greater public get a chance to play it?
Sure. Well, our current plan is to develop all 7 episodes, or all 7 vignettes, right? And release it as one experience. And Ouya has been amazing, and they've stepped up and offered us the funding that it will take for us to complete the game. And so what that allows us to do is it gives us the freedom to really explore the fullness of this. I mean, we're still in the middle of it as a family, you know? And so, like, it's a very risky thing, you know? And what's been amazing about, like, the Ouya partnership is that they're allowing us to take that risk, and they're enabling us to do that while I can feed my family and keep our health insurance and take care of my son and, you know, all of those things. So we'll come there first, and then we'll see where we go from there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Once again, an incredible game. I look forward to seeing more, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Enjoying our preview coverage and you want to support Red 3 games? You do. Then why not check out GameFly? GameFly is the largest online video game rental service and offers you a choice from over 8,000 new and classic titles across all consoles and handhelds. Plans just start at $15.95 a month, and members can rent 1 to 4 games at a time and keep them for as long as they like. Once you're done playing, just send it back and GameFly will send you the next available game on your list. You can support Red 3 Games and get a free 15-day trial when you sign up at gamefly.com/Red3Games.